I mentioned it earlier, Martin. One of your former clubs, incidentally. And on a serious note, they might have a fair bit to ponder if it goes pear-shaped when they travel to Hull tomorrow. I'm talking about Everton. It's live on talkSPORT 2. The FA Cup has suddenly taken on more importance for the likes of Benitez than they might have planned at the start of the season due to their current predicament. I mean, whatever way you look at it, man, Everton, 1 win in their last 12. If they lose out to Hull,
who are 19th in the Championship, just currently at the moment.
Is it over for Benitez?
Well, he's had great support there, hasn't he, from the owners? I don't think so. I think he's there for the long haul. I do feel he's an outstanding manager, but he's completely lost his way. While Calvert-Lewin's been out of the side, they've just struggled so much with injuries. They don't seem to be able to stay in a game long enough to get a result. So hugely disappointing. The last one again against Brighton, a very good Brighton side, you have to say. So no, he's going to have to do something. They can't go out of a competition of this size. This is an enormous club, Everton, with great expectations. So there is a pressure going into this game, but he's going to want to rest people. He's had a lot of injuries, people coming back from injuries. Can he risk it again?
Yeah.
But I suggest he plays his best 11 and gets on with it, because he doesn't want any more noise around him. He wants Everton to start getting back to winning games now.
I mean, if ever a game's must win, Simon, it's this one.
Well, it's all about background noise. We heard it being used in very good terms by Thomas Tuchel, talking about unnecessary noise. If they get knocked out of the FA Cup, which they shouldn't do, no disrespect to Hull, then the noise is going to ramp up. Now, I'm not sure Moshiri listens to the background noise, and to some extent I'll make him right. You've made a decision. If you believe your decision is right, stick to it. Don't be influenced by people. But I think he's made the wrong decision from the outset. I think reading the room to bring Rafa Benitez in is the wrong reading of that room. And he's been given support, in fairness to Benitez, who I'm not an admirer of, but he's been given support in terms of owners' backing. He hasn't been given any support in terms of resource available to him, even though he's got a decent playing squad there. So, with all things in mind, if they lose to Hull, I don't think it gets him sacked directly afterwards, but my God, does it build up the narrative and the background noise that's going to build up and eventually the owner will listen to it.
Especially when you hear what
he just bought a player
to me a few weeks ago.
Patterson from Rangers.
Patterson's in from Rangers, sure. And a good player at
Damari
that.
Gray, Townsend, they're all free transfers.
It's an interesting one, because Everton said they couldn't and wouldn't support Benitez financially because they weren't able to because of financial fair play. Everyone else ignores this financial fair play, so why suddenly, Moshiri has to oblige by it? And they've been forced into it. Now, Patterson, as a player, is that a signing, Martin, that irrespective of the manager, Everton would make?
Well, it sounds like it.
So then it's not backing Benitez, it's just a squad building
exercise.
Well, no,
maybe. I mean, one assumes he knows a thing or two about defending. Patterson has actually come in very well into the Scottish squad and done extremely well.
He's a lovely player, yeah.
So, does he play as a right back, or does he play in a back three?
Well, that's the thing. Simon's right. It hasn't been a regular in the Rangers team.
No, so
and the whole package is coming to 16 million quid. Everton made sure that they would put down the finance that was needed to get him.
I think with changes, director of football leaving, Benitez sort of trying to take over behind the scenes. Maybe you'd have to say this is the manager's signing.
But is it a signing that, irrespective of, because if we're looking at the potential future of Benitez, if that's what we're doing, is in jeopardy, Everton are sanctioning something that would be perhaps not to the liking of a manager if they took Benitez out. So my question is this a signing that supersedes Benitez, i.e. it's good enough for the next guy that comes in as well?
Well, someone's making the changes. Graham Sharp's just gone onto the into an ambassador.
That's right.
He's about to go onto the board. So there are things taking place behind the scenes, and obviously Benitez wasn't happy with the structure at the football club.
I mean, well, there's all sorts of outcry recently, Simon, as you know, about Benitez.
I think it's the other way around,
and Moshiri got in touch with me. He said, amongst other things, Benitez will be supported to add depth to the squad. Now, you could argue that, that's what they've done with Patterson.
Yeah.
Because he's not a surefire starter. He's not going to walk right into it. But as Farhad said at the end of the message, managers need time. I've no doubt we'll have a strong second half to the season. We're in the second half of the season now, Martin.
We are, and you start looking.
They've got to go and do a job in Hull.
Well, you start looking at players, and you start. Where is the improvement in some of these players? Particularly from a defensive point of view. So, okay, Luca Dean's been allowed to fly the nest to a certain extent. You've got Holgate there who plays with Godfrey. Are they getting better as defenders? I'd argue they're getting worse. So Benitez needs to work with what he's got. Is it a back three? Is it a back four? Why is it that Mina is so important at the back? Why do they need him?
It is important. I mean, whichever way you cut it, right? Whichever way you cut this, and it's not about piling into Rafa Benitez. Everton being 5th or 6th from bottom in the league is unacceptable to Everton fans.
Absolutely.
And so it should be, because this is a club that's looking across the road at a club that's punching the hell out of them in the same city. It's a club that seems to have spent a lot of money.
Two good midfield players, Decore and Allen as well. I don't think he's getting the best out of them, as we saw against Brighton, where they were outnumbered in that area. He's got the players at his disposal to do better than they are. I don't expect Everton to go down, but they are looking over their shoulder, and he needs to start.
I agree with that. And also, from Mashiri's point of view, if you know that things haven't gone the right way, Ancelotti turned into a bit of a waste of time. Other managers, Silva was an embarrassment. He pursued somebody that was a joke. Right? It didn't work out. Right? Why make that extra 10% of your life difficult by bringing someone through the door that a significant proportion of the football supporter base won't have,
and will never have?
And the moment it looks like it's going the wrong way, they'll be on him. and of course, it is going the wrong way.
But you see, Mashiri, for whatever reason, Simon, tries to keep his distance from that kind of argument, and said to us at the time, look, we know about Benitez, we know about his Liverpool association, but Benitez is in love with the city of Liverpool. End of.
But there's no basis for Benitez. We look at Benitez and we say, yeah, okay, Napoli, and we say, okay, Liverpool. It's a long, long time ago, right? Benitez set up Newcastle as a very defensive-minded manager, even beyond the pale.
He worked with the resources that he had available.
I understand. But even at that point, people were saying, when you're prepared to have 18% possession in games, you're setting yourself up in a certain way. You go to China for money, you come back from China looking for a Premier League opportunity, and you set Everton up as a defensive unit. The fans are watching it going, look at the style of play. It's defensively based. There's no bravery about this team. And you've got more resource at Everton than you had at Newcastle. So you can't run the same argument at Goodison as you ran at St James's. You could argue a different resource base.
You could argue that he's been more attacking at Everton, and he's opened it up a little bit with Tamari Gray, playing in a wide position.
Look at the possession
Townsend
stats,
coming in off the lines. Coming in off the lines. I go with what I see. And has he been too open? Has he come from a Newcastle situation where he had to be hard to beat, 5 behind the ball, 5 defenders? He's gone back to that a little bit now because they were too easy to play against Everton. They're not getting results, and they need to get them desperately. And this is a huge weekend both for the players and the manager, because the fans at that football club, I can tell you, will be in their ears of those players. On the doorstep of Liverpool, what they're doing is very tough now to take.
You think Benitez is the right man for that job?
I do.
Okay.
You do?
Yeah, I do think he is, because of the calibre of manager that he has, because of what he's done in the past, what he's done at Liverpool in the past. He's won a Champions League.
What you did in the past at Arsenal doesn't mean you can do it now, right?
No.
Because you can't, right? Because age has overtaken you. And there is and you say snooker players that can no longer do it when they're 50 because something's gone, but you can still hit a cue if something's gone. Now Benitez is now at a stage in his career. Why do you think he can do it? Because he did it once 15 years ago.
No, he didn't do it once. He did it successively. He did it in Spain.
He got booed out of Madrid because he couldn't cut it there.
He went to Chelsea, picked up a trophy there.
For 5 months.
Yeah. He's a top level manager.
And he's a winner.
I don't know where it is that you don't think he's a top level manager. I think he was a good fit for Everton. I think the only issue was that he talked about Liverpool, Everton being a small club, a tiny little club, and he probably regretted that. Made it difficult for him to get that job. At the start, he had a good start to the season. Everyone was really happy with him, and the last 12 games have been a disaster.
I think it's universally accepted in football that Benitez, and I'm speaking from people that I've spoken to and understood very well, that have worked alongside him. He's a back channel manager. At the moment he doesn't get what he wants, he becomes a very difficult manager to deal with.
I think it's time for stability at Everton Football Club. Stick with the man you've got.
What's a respectable scoreline, Mark?
There's been this
weekend at Hull.
That matters.
It's respectable just to win.
Is it 0-1?
They're 19th. They're 19th in the Championship.
Just to win.
You go there and you show your quality.
Yeah.
But you don't show any kind of weakness, but you play your best team because you don't, as we said, you keep that noise away.
It's just a win.
But Everton Football Club is a succession of managers spending money wildly. They need some stability, and then if there's no improvement though from Benitez, you're not going to get forever.
But they haven't had a succession of managers.
Improving.
They've had an owner and a director of football.
Spent money for fun.
The manager gets within reason what he's given. In most football clubs, he gets what he's given, right? And some football clubs have a budget of 100 million, some football clubs have 50 million quid. So Mashiri has sanctioned Marcel Brands to allow them to spend £35 million on Alex Iwobi, or £50 million on Gylfi Sigurdsson, or £30 million or £25 million on Michael Keane.
Think back to David Moyes. He ran that club for 10 years on a shoestring. And suddenly they changed. They started spending money wildly, and it's not been spent well.
Because they've had it. But before, when Bill was there and John Woods was there, it didn't have it.
Yeah, so now they have a manager.
I tell you something, if everybody needs to turn it around, it's got to be this weekend against Hull, because he has to turn it around. 1 win in the last 12. That was a brief look ahead to Hull against Everton this weekend. Must win for Everton, but Hull will have different ideas. We've done that in partnership with Renault E-Tech Vans.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Thursday morning, 10 till 1. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.